as we stand on the precipice of life with dreams in our hearts and the desire for change before us, there is one truth we must understand: the universe, or perhaps a greater force beyond our comprehension, tests us. These tests are not meant to break us, but rather to prepare us for the life we're about to step into. Just as the furnace tempers steel, the trials of life shape and mold us into the person we are meant to be. There is a fundamental truth we must first come to understand as we face the trials of life. Patience is not merely a passive waiting, but an active cultivation of trust in a process that may be unseen to our eyes. The universe, in its wisdom, often requires that we wait before we receive. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, this test of patience can feel particularly difficult, even unbearable at times. Yet it is within the testing of our patience that the seeds of change are sown. The universe, it seems, understands that a rush as rarely leads to lasting transformation. It knows that growth requires time, and that our own hearts and spirits must be readied for the changes we so deeply long for. We live in a time where everything is immediate. We can order food with a few taps on our phones, have packages delivered within a day, and even find ourselves in instant conversations across the world. This fast-paced reality can make the process of waiting feel unnatural, even frustrating. But let us recognize that just as a seed must take time so too must our lives undergo a transformation that cannot be rushed. The universe will often place us in moments where we are called to wait. And during these moments, we must remember that waiting does not imply inactivity. It is during these waiting seasons that our character is honed, our vision is refined, and our resilience is tested. When you find yourself waiting for change, it's easy to become anxious or discouraged. We can start to question whether anything is happening at all, or if the universe has forgotten us. The test of patience is not merely about enduring the waiting period, but about how we respond in that waiting. Are we growing in the process, or are we becoming bitter and restless? Patience teaches us to trust in the timing of the universe, knowing that there is a perfect season for everything. Just as a fruit cannot be plucked from the tree before it ripens, we too must wait for the perfect moment when we are truly ready for the blessings that are meant for us. It is important to understand that the delays we experience are not random. Every moment of waiting has a purpose. Perhaps there are still lessons to be learned, or character traits that need to be developed before we are ready to handle the new reality we so eagerly seek. When we are asked to wait, we are being prepared in ways we cannot always see. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows that rushing us into the next chapter of life would not only rob us of the valuable lessons learned through patience, but would also leave us ill-prepared for the responsibilities and blessings that lie ahead. There may be times when we wonder why it seems as though everyone else is moving ahead while we remain in a season of waiting. It can feel as though we are being left behind, or that our dreams are slipping away. But let us remember that each person's path is unique. The timing of our lives is just as individual as our fingerprints. What we perceive as a delay may simply be the universe's way of ensuring we are not only ready for the blessings we seek, but that we are able to fully appreciate and manage them when they arrive. This process of patience teaches us that true fulfillment doesn't come from rushing ahead, but from being in harmony with the natural flow of life. Patience also teaches us the value of surrender. We must surrender the need for control, surrender the urge to push and force outcomes. In our impatient moments, we often forget that we are not the ones who control the universe. Our impatience comes from the belief that we know what is best for us and that the timing should be now. But the universe, in its wisdom, asks us to surrender that need to control. It asks us to trust that there is a plan that is far greater than anything we could imagine for ourselves. The test of patience is not simply about waiting, it is about what we do while we wait. Do we find peace in the moment, or do we spend our time in frustration dwelling on what is not happening? The waiting period is an opportunity to shift our focus from what we lack to what we can appreciate. We may not be where we want to be, but we can be grateful for where we are. This shift in perspective allows us to grow even in the moments of waiting. Furthermore, Patience teaches us to trust in the unfolding of life. Life rarely unfolds according to the timelines we create. We may set deadlines for ourselves, only to find that life has a different plan. Yet, if we can trust in the process, we will realize that everything happens at the right time. The things we have worked for, the dreams we have chased, will come to fruition when the time is right, often in ways we never could have anticipated. The lesson of patience, that the universe is not on our timeline, but that it is always unfolding in a way that is aligned with our highest good. As we reflect on this, we must understand that patience is not just a passive waiting, it is a time of active trust, growth, and surrender. While we wait, we must remain steadfast, knowing that the seeds we plant today will eventually bear fruit in the right season. And when that season arrives, we will find that the universe has prepared us in ways we never imagined, making us stronger, wiser, and more capable of embracing the new reality we have longed for. Life is full of uncertainties, and at times, the road before us seems shrouded in mystery. It is in these moments of uncertainty that the universe asks the most profound question of you two: will you trust even when you do not understand? This is the test of faith in the unknown. It is a test that requires us to step into the void with nothing but our belief that though we cannot see the path ahead, it is still there waiting for us to discover it. The unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace, for it is in the uncertainty that we find the deepest growth. We are creatures of habit, and it is often difficult for us to step out of our comfort zones. We like to have a clear path, a map that we can follow step by step, so that we feel secure in our journey. But life does not always offer us such clarity. Instead, we are often asked to walk in darkness, trusting that the next step will appear only when we have taken the one before it. The universe tests us not by providing all the answers, but by asking us to trust that there is a greater plan unfolding, one that we cannot fully comprehend in the moment. This is not a test of our knowledge, but of our trust. Faith in the unknown is not simply about believing in something that is invisible. It is about believing in something that we cannot control. When we are faced with the unknown, we are reminded of how little control we actually have over our circumstances. We may have dreams and desires, but the universe often places us in situations where we must surrender our need for control and trust that what is meant for us will find its way into our lives. This test of faith is not easy, for it requires that we let go of our plans, our expectations, and our attachments to a particular outcome. Instead, we must trust that the unfolding of life is taking place exactly as it should, even when we cannot see the full picture. The test of faith in the unknown is also a test of courage. It takes courage to step into the unknown, to walk into a future that is uncertain and filled with potential risk. But it is in this very act of stepping forward, despite our fear, that we grow. Every step we take into the unknown builds our strength and resilience. It teaches us that the most profound transformations happen when we allow ourselves to move beyond the safety of what we know. The universe, in its wisdom, places us in situations that challenge us to trust, not because it seeks to punish us, but because it understands that it is through these challenges that we are molded into the individuals we are meant to become. One of the most difficult aspects of this test is the feeling of isolation that often accompanies the unknown. We may find ourselves standing alone with no clear support or guidance, wondering if we are on the right path. During these moments, the universe calls us to trust not only in its plan for our lives, but in our own inner strength. When everything around us seems uncertain, it is in those moments of solitude that we must find the courage to listen to our hearts and follow the instincts that guide us. The test of faith in the unknown is ultimately a test of self-trust. The universe asks us to trust in our own intuition, to believe that we are capable of navigating the uncertain terrain even when we cannot see where the journey will lead. Moreover, the unknown is often not as intimidating as we imagine it to be. When we are faced with a new challenge or a new chapter in our lives, our minds tend to project fear and doubt onto the future. We envision worst-case scenarios, and the uncertainty becomes something we dread rather than something we welcome. But in truth, the unknown is often filled with possibility. It is the space where new opportunities and experiences await us just beyond the horizon. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, places us in these unknown spaces, not to us, but to offer us a chance to discover parts of ourselves that we have never known. The fear we feel is often simply the fear of change, and once we move through it, we find that the unknown was not as daunting as we had imagined. Faith in the unknown also teaches patience. We cannot rush the process of discovery. The universe moves at its own pace, and we are called to trust in the timing of our lives. We may want answers now, but often the answers only come when we are ready to receive them. This is part of the testing. Can we trust that the universe will reveal what we need to know in its perfect time, even if that time is not when we expect it? The when chief, the waiting, the uncertainty, the lack of immediate clarity. All of these are part of the process. They are opportunities for us to grow in patience and to deepen our trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This test of faith also encourages us to relinquish the need for certainty. In a world that prizes certainty and control, we are often taught to fear the unknown. We are conditioned to seek answers, to find clarity, and to avoid risk at all costs. But the universe invites us to embrace uncertainty, to release our attachment to knowing exactly what will happen next. It asks us to step into the mystery of life with open hearts, knowing that even in the absence of clear answers, there is a greater plan unfolding. This is not a test of knowledge or intellect, but of belief and trust. In the end, faith in the unknown is not about having all the answers. It is about having the courage to move forward, even when the path is unclear, and trusting that the universe will guide us in the right direction. It is about embracing the mystery of life, knowing that there is a larger force at work that has our best interests at heart. The test of faith in the unknown asks us to surrender our need for control, to trust in the unseen, and to believe that, even in the darkest moments, there is a light guiding us toward our ultimate destiny. Before the universe changes your reality, there is an essential test that must be passed, the test of character. This is perhaps one of the most profound trials that each of us faces, was the chief, and it is not a test that is easily avoided or bypassed. Character in its truest form is not something that can be molded overnight. It is something that must be developed over time, through life's challenges and struggles. The universe understands that no amount of external success, no matter how grand, can sustain you if your character is not strong enough to hold it. Therefore, it often places us in situations where our integrity, honesty, and morality are tested, asking us, will you remain true to who you are, even when no one is watching? Our character is the foundation upon which our reality is built. It is the unseen force that governs our decisions, our actions, and our responses to the world around us. When we are tested in our character, we are being asked to examine who we truly are at the core. It is not enough to appear kind or virtuous on the outside. We must be consistent in our inner lives as well. This is the essence of the test of character, the alignment of our inner and outer worlds. It is easy to maintain a facade of goodness when everything is going well, but true character is revealed in times of adversity. How do we respond when life throws a curveball? Do we act with integrity? Or do as the chief, where we compromise our values for the sake of convenience or short-term gain? The universe often places us in difficult situations where our character is tested, not because it wants to see us fail, but because it understands that true growth and transformation come when we face these challenges head-on. For example, we might find ourselves in a position where we are offered an opportunity that requires us to choose between what is morally right and what seems to be a more advantageous path. This is a test of our character. Do we take the path that promises immediate rewards, or do we remain steadfast in our principles, even if it means sacrificing something we desire? The test of character goes beyond the big decisions. It also encompasses the small, everyday choices we make. Do we act with honesty when no one is watching? Do we treat others with kindness and respect, even when we are tired or frustrated? It is in these small moments that our true character is shaped. The universe is watching, not to judge us, but to see how we respond in these moments of choice. It knows that the cumulative effect of these small actions will ultimately shape who we become. It is easy to be a good person when life is smooth, but true character is built in the face of adversity, when we are faced with temptations and challenges that test our resolve. Moreover, the test of character is deeply tied to our authenticity. The universe does not ask us to be perfect, it asks us to be real. It challenges us to embrace our flaws and shortcomings, to learn from them, and to continue growing. Character is not about being without fault, but about having the courage to face our imperfections and work toward improvement. When we are tested in our character, we are being called to confront the parts of ourselves that we may prefer to ignore. The aspects of our personality or our past that we are not proud of. The universe invites us to acknowledge these parts of ourselves and to take responsibility for them. In doing so, was the chief, we allow ourselves to grow in authenticity, which in turn strengthens our character. One of the most powerful ways that the universe tests our character is through our relationships with others. Relationships, whether they are personal or professional, often serve as mirrors that reflect our inner selves. Through our interactions with others, which the chief, we see how we respond to conflict, how we show up in times of difficulty, and how we treat those who may not be able to offer us anything in return. The test of character often comes in the form of our treatment of others. Do we act with compassion, or do we let pride and ego guide our actions? Are we patient and understanding, or do we let our frustration cloud our judgment? The universe asks us to demonstrate our character through our actions, not just our words. True character is not something that can be easily faked. It is revealed in the way we treat those around us, especially in challenging circumstances. At times, the test of character can feel overwhelming, and it may seem as though the universe is presenting us with more trials than we can handle. But it is important to remember that these tests are not meant to break us. They are meant to strengthen us, to refine us, and to prepare us for the greater responsibilities that lie ahead. Just as gold is purified in the fire, so too is our character refined through the trials we face. These challenges are not signs that we are failing. They are opportunities for us to rise to a higher level of integrity and authenticity. There are moments when we may falter, when we make mistakes or fall short of the ideal version of ourselves. But it is in these moments that we have the opportunity to grow the most. The test of character is not about perfection. It is about the willingness to continue evolving. The universe does not expect us to be flawless. It expects us to be willing to learn to grow and to become better versions of ourselves with each passing day. The test of character is a lifelong process. It is not a one-time trial, but an ongoing journey of self-reflection, growth, and transformation. With each test, we are asked to dig deeper into who we are and what we stand for. The universe asks us not to be perfect, but to be genuine, to align our inner truth with our outer actions, and to continue walking the path of integrity, even when it feels difficult. As we pass these tests, we grow in strength and wisdom, becoming more fully prepared to step into the reality that the universe has waiting for us. Letting go is one of the most challenging and profound tests that the universe places before us, and it is an essential part of the journey toward transformation. The human experience is full of attachments. Attachments to people, places, things, memories, and even to our past selves. These attachments shape who we are and how we interact with the world around us. However, in order to step into a new reality, the universe often requires that we let go of no longer serves us. This is not just a test of surrender, it is a test of trust, of accepting that in order to receive the blessings and opportunities that await us, we must first release what we have been holding onto so tightly. At first glance, letting go might seem like a simple act, something we can easily do with a little willpower. But in reality, letting go can be one of the most difficult tasks we face. Our attachments often stem from deep emotional connections, and severing these ties requires us to confront feelings of fear, loss, and uncertainty. Whether it is a relationship that has outlived its purpose, a job that no longer aligns with our values, or a belief system that no longer supports our growth, the act of letting go forces us to face the unknown. Was the chief. It asks us to surrender the familiar and embrace the unfamiliar, to trust that what we release will make space for something new and better. One of the hardest aspects of letting go is the fear of what we might lose. We often hold on to things because they provide us with a sense of security, a feeling of stability, or a connection to our past. These attachments can become so ingrained in our identities that the thought of releasing them feels like losing a part of ourselves. The universe, however, challenges us to trust that in the act of letting go, we are not losing anything of value, but rather making space for growth and renewal. Just as a tree must shed its leaves to make room for new growth, we too must let go of no longer nourishes us in order to make room for the future that is calling us. Letting go also requires us to confront the deep emotional ties that bind us to the past, whether it is unresolved grief, unhealed wounds, or unspoken regrets. The weight of the past can prevent us from moving forward. The universe asks us to release these emotional burdens so that we can step into a new chapter of our lives with a heart that is free from the pain of what has come before. This is not to say that we forget or dismiss our past experiences, but rather that we must learn to let go of the emotional charge that keeps us anchored in that time. In releasing the hold that the past has on us, we allow ourselves to experience the present moment fully and to move forward with clarity and purpose. For many, letting go is a test of forgiveness. We may need to forgive others for the hurt they have caused us, as well as forgive ourselves for the mistakes we have made. Holding on to anger, resentment, or guilt only keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity, preventing us from moving forward. The universe calls us to release these toxic emotions so that we can make space for peace, love, and joy. Forgiveness is not about condoning the actions of others or excusing our own mistakes. It is about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that holds us back. It is about choosing to release the past and embrace the possibility of a future filled with growth and healing. Letting go also challenges us to release our need for control. As humans, we have a tendency to want to control every aspect of our lives, our circumstances, our relationships, our careers, and even the outcomes of our efforts. But the universe often works in ways that are beyond our comprehension, and it is in letting go of our need to control that we open ourselves up to the flow of life. The test of letting go is a test of trusting. Can we trust that the universe has a plan for us, even if it doesn't look exactly as we envisioned? Can we trust that the things we release will be replaced by something better, something that is more aligned with our true purpose? There is also a deep surrender in the act of letting go. Surrender is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. It is about acknowledging that there are forces greater than ourselves at work in the world. When we let go, we are acknowledging that we do not have all the answers, and that sometimes the best course of action is to release our grip and allow life to unfold in its own time and manner. This is not always an easy thing to do, as it requires us to admit that we do not have control over everything. But in surrendering, we find freedom. We find the freedom to accept what is, without clinging to what could have been or what might be. Letting go is a deep act of acceptance, of saying, I trust in the unfolding of my life, and I am willing to release what no longer serves me. The test of letting go is also a test of faith. It requires it requires us to believe that something better is waiting for us, that the universe has a plan for our lives, and that we are being guided towards something greater. It is easy to hold on to what is familiar because it feels safe, but the universe calls us to take a leap of faith, to trust that what we let go of will be replaced with something more aligned with our highest good. This requires us to move beyond fear and to trust that even in the absence of certainty, there is a deeper wisdom at work. Letting go is also a process of self-liberation. When we release the things that bind us, whether it is a toxic relationship, a limiting belief, or an outdated identity, we are free to become the person we are meant to be. This freedom is not just external, it is internal. As we let go, we create space for self-discovery and growth. We shed the layers that no longer serve us and allow ourselves to step into a new version of ourselves. One that is unencumbered by the past and open to the possibilities of the future. This test of letting go is not a one-time event, but a continuous process that unfolds over time. There will be many times in life when the universe will ask us to release something else. something we hold dear, something that feels difficult to part with. Each time we let go, we are asked to trust more deeply, to surrender more fully, and to embrace the unknown with a heart that is open to change. It is in this continual process of release that we are prepared for the new realities that the universe has waiting for us. In the journey of life, before the universe can bring us the reality we dream of, it often requires us to let go of the very things that may feel most important. This test, the test of letting go, is one of the most challenging we face. It asks us to release attachments, habits, and even relationships that no longer serve us, was the chief, in order to create the space for something greater to enter our lives. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about making room for the new and the better that awaits us. The universe, in its wisdom, understands that we cannot receive new blessings while we are still clinging to what is old and unhelpful. When we hold on tightly to things, whether it be material possessions, old wounds, or unhealthy relationships, we block the flow of what is meant for us. The universe often asks us to release what we have been holding on to, not because it wants to take away from us, but because it wants to give us more. Our attachments to the past can anchor us in a reality that no longer serves our growth or our potential. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, places us in situations where we are forced to let go so that we can move forward into a new chapter. It is as though it is saying, you cannot go forward while you are still holding on to what no longer belongs in your future. Letting go is not always easy, which was the chief. We become attached to things, whether it is a particular way of thinking, an ideal of how our life should look, or the people who have been part of our story. These attachments become a part of our identity, and when we are asked to release them, it can feel like we are being asked to release a part of ourselves. It is in these moments that we experience a deep internal struggle. The fear of letting go can be paralyzing as we worry about what will happen once these things or people are no longer in our lives. Yet, the universe challenges us to trust that the release is not a loss but an opportunity for transformation. Sometimes, letting go involves releasing old dreams that no longer align with who we have become. As we grow and evolve, so too do our desires and aspirations. What we once thought we wanted may no longer serve our highest good. This is a difficult realization, as it forces us to confront the reality that we once held onto tightly must be released in order to make room for the new. But the universe often reveals to us that it has something better in store, a dream that aligns more closely with who we truly are and what we are meant to do. The process of letting go also involves forgiving. Often we must release the bitterness or anger we have held on to, especially when it comes to past hurts or betrayals. We may feel justified in holding on to these negative emotions, but in doing so, we only imprison ourselves in the past. The universe calls us to forgive, not for the sake of those who wronged us, but for our own peace and freedom. Forgiveness is a powerful act of release. It allows us to detach from the hurt and move forward into a brighter, more liberated future. It is not about condoning what was done, but about freeing ourselves from the chains of resentment that bind us to a painful past. A letting go also involves releasing the need for control. Many of us hold tightly to the illusion that we can control every aspect of our lives. We plan, we strategize, and we worry about what will happen next. However, the universe often asks us to surrender our need for control, to trust the chief, to trust that there's a larger force at work guiding us toward our destiny. This can be one of the most difficult tests, as it requires us to relinquish our attachments, specific outcomes, and trust in the process. It asks us to accept that not everything will go according to plan, and that sometimes the detours and delays are part of the path we are meant to take. The fear of letting go often stems from the belief that we will be left with nothing. We fear that if we release what we have, we will be left empty and lost. But in truth, letting go creates space for abundance. It allows us to receive what is meant for us. When we let go of the old, we make room for the new. The universe is constantly in motion, and it is always bringing new opportunities, people, and experiences into our lives. But in order to receive these blessings, we must first create space for them. This requires us to let go of what no longer serves us. whether it be a job, a relationship, a belief, or an old identity. At times, we may hold on to things because we fear the unknown. The future feels uncertain, and it is much easier to stay in the familiar, even if that familiarity no longer brings us joy. The universe challenges us to trust that what is coming is far greater than what we are holding on to. It asks us to step into the unknown with faith, knowing that by releasing the old, we are opening ourselves up to a reality that is better aligned with our true purpose. Letting go also requires us to embrace change. Change is often uncomfortable as it takes us out of our comfort zone and forces us to adapt to new circumstances. But change is an essential part of growth. The universe does not want us to remain stagnant. It wants us to evolve, to transform, which was the chief, and to become the best version of ourselves. Letting go of the past is a necessary part of this process. It is in releasing what we have outgrown that we make room for the new experiences and lessons that will shape us into the person we are becoming. And the test of letting go is not just about releasing physical possessions or relationships. It is about letting go of old ways of thinking, limiting beliefs, and patterns of behavior that no longer serve our highest good. These mental and emotional attachments can be just as powerful, if not more so, than the physical ones. Letting go requires us to challenge the stories we have told ourselves about who we are and what we are capable of. It asks us to release the fears and doubts that have kept us stuck in place and to step into a new reality where we are free to embrace our full potential. Letting go is an act of faith. It requires us to trust that the universe has a plan for us, even if we cannot yet see it. It requires us to believe that by releasing what we have been holding on to, we are making space for something greater to enter our lives. The universe will never leave us empty-handed. It only asks us to trust that what it has in store for us is far better than anything we could have imagined on our own. At the core of every transformation, there lies one fundamental truth. In order to change our reality, we must first trust ourselves. This test, the test of trusting yourself, is perhaps the most personal of all the trials the universe sets before us. It is a test that requires us to listen to our inner voice, to believe in our own wisdom, and to act from a place of deep self-confidence. Trusting yourself means recognizing that you have the strength, the wisdom, and the capability to navigate the challenges that life presents. It means accepting that the power to create your reality is already within you. The universe will often place us in situations that force us to confront our doubts and insecurities. These situations can feel overwhelming as they challenge us to step outside of our comfort zone and trust that we have what it takes to succeed. In these moments, the universe is not testing our ability to succeed in the traditional sense. It is testing our ability to trust in our own decisions and in our own ability to navigate the unknown. It is asking us to trust that, no matter what the outcome, we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. This test is difficult because, for many of us, self-doubt is a constant companion. We question our abilities, our worth, and our decisions. We may seek validation from others, hoping that their approval will give us the confidence we lack. But the universe challenges us to move beyond external validation and to trust in our own judgment. It asks us to believe that we have all the tools we need to create the reality we desire. When we trust ourselves, we open the door to a life of self-empowerment where we make decisions based on what is best for us, rather than what others think is best. Trusting yourself requires vulnerability. It means acknowledging that you do not have all the answers, but still moving forward anyway. The universe asks us to trust in the process of life, even when the path ahead is unclear. It invites us to step forward with courage, knowing that, regardless of the outcome, we will learn and grow from the experience. Trusting yourself is not about having all the answers. It is about who is the chief. It's about having the confidence to take the next step, even when you cannot see the whole journey. It is about a knowing that you are capable of navigating the twists and turns of life with grace and strength. There will be times when we are faced with difficult choices, and the path forward is not immediately clear. In these moments, trusting yourself becomes an act of faith. It requires you to listen to your intuition, to follow your inner guidance, and to believe that, no matter what happens, you are on the right path. The universe often places us in situations that challenge our sense of self. But it also offers us the opportunity to rise to the occasion, to prove to ourselves that we are capable of creating the life we desire. Trusting yourself also involves letting go of perfection. Too often, we fear making mistakes, thinking that any misstep will lead to failure. But the universe shows us that mistakes are part of the journey. They are not signs of incompetence, but opportunities for growth and learning. Trusting yourself means being willing to make mistakes, to learn from them, and to keep moving forward with greater wisdom and confidence. It means understanding that the road to success is rarely linear and that every step, even the missteps, brings us closer to the person we are meant to become. The test of trusting yourself is a lifelong process. It requires constant self-reflection, self-compassion, and courage. As we continue to grow and evolve, we are called to trust ourselves more deeply, to honor our intuition, and to act with confidence in the face of uncertainty. The universe is always testing us in this way, not to see if we will fail, but to see if we are willing to trust ourselves enough to step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. When we trust ourselves, we unlock the power to create the life we desire, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever challenges come our way. As we journey through life, the universe presents us with a series of tests, each one designed to prepare us for the new reality that awaits. These tests are not obstacles meant to thwart us, but rather invitations to grow, evolve, and align more deeply with our true selves. The test of letting go challenges us to release what no longer serves us, creating space for new opportunities and blessings. The test of trust asks us to place our faith in both the process and our own inner wisdom, even when the path is uncertain. And the test of character reveals the strength of our integrity, urging us to be true to ourselves even when no one is watching. The universe is not trying to break us, but to shape us into the people we are meant to become. It understands that before we can step into a new reality, we must first refine our character, learn to trust ourselves, and embrace the necessary changes that lead to growth. By embracing these tests, which the chief, we not only prepare ourselves for a brighter future, but also cultivate the inner strength and resilience needed to navigate life's challenges with grace. Which was the chief. The journey may not always be easy, and there will be moments when doubt and fear creep in. But as we continue to trust the process and remain true to ourselves, we will find that each test is an opportunity for transformation. The universe, in its wisdom, is always guiding us toward a life that aligns with our highest potential. And each step we take in faith brings us closer to the reality we are meant to live. It is through these tests that we uncover the depths of our strength and the power of our own choices, ultimately leading us to the life we were always meant to live.